Hey everybody, I feel like I'm turning this into a medical channel, but just because it's part of life in Southeast Asia, I thought I would make a short video about this. I have dengue fever, which is kind of crazy. So it's rainy season here, which is when it's most likely to happen. Yeah, so I'll just kind of walk you through like what happened and a little bit about like the symptoms and treatment and everything, my experience. And again, maybe my experience with the medical system here is different than everybody else's, but I'm extraordinarily pleased by it. So I'll talk a little bit about that. But anyways, I was seeing an endocrinologist. I met with her, I think on Tuesday, and just about some other issues. And so she wanted me to have some blood work done on Wednesday. Also, I'm sorry about my voice. My voice is kind of shot right now. Anyways, so I went in for the blood work on Wednesday, and then Thursday, there's a bar near me that has a karaoke night, and I was like, yeah, I need to get out and do something and meet some people, and especially since I had food poisoning that kind of knocked me out for a while. And so I went out, I had a great time at karaoke, but when I woke up the next morning, I felt like a Mack truck had hit me. And honestly, because I really don't drink much anymore, and I had a few beers, but not much, but I was just like, oh my God, I am a complete lightweight these days. I actually just thought it was a hangover. So, but throughout the day, I just kept feeling kind of worse and worse and worse. And then around midnight on Friday, I was just boiling. I was just like, to touch my skin, I felt like I was just on fire. And of course, like every joint ached, and I had another really bad headache. And my first thought was, it's like, don't tell me I have like food poisoning again. But I didn't have any other symptoms. I was just like aching and burning up. So I thought maybe I have the flu. I don't know. But I was supposed to have an appointment with the endocrinologist on Saturday at 10:30. And I had my alarm set at 8. And when I woke up, I just felt awful. So I managed to message her directly, and she got back to me pretty quickly and said, hey, what are your symptoms? So I told her what my symptoms were, and she said, the reason I'm asking is because the blood work, it looks like you're trying to fight off an infection, and you have incredibly high white blood cell count, and your cortisol level is dangerously low. She said, I think you need to get to an emergency room because you can potentially have, and I'm like a little foggy headed right now, I think like an adrenal crash. She just thought that it was the combination of those things, was that I'm trying to fight off an infection and I'm having a difficult time doing it. And the fact that I was having these symptoms a few days after I had the blood drawn, she just thought it was that I was in a potentially dangerous place. So she sent me all the blood work through, I think I'm talking to her through Telegram. So she sent me the blood work, and she wrote me, and this is all within about a half an hour of her contacting me. She wrote me a referral letter that was extremely detailed so that I could just give it to the people in the ER so that they knew what was going on. And I was just stunned by that. I mean, the reason I'm seeing her in the first place is because the doctor I see back in the United States is just dismissive of different markers in, having to do with glucose levels and some other stuff. And so it's like night and day as far as the attention, and she just kept following up on stuff. She's like, did you get the letter? Because the letter had to be, I guess, like stamped by the hospital that she works at. She's like, did you get it? And I did. And so she's, like just kind of keeping up to make sure that I got to the emergency room and everything. So anyways, I get to the emergency room. So let me back up for a second. I'd spent about 1.5 years helping someone who frequently had to go to the emergency room in Atlanta. Like a nice hospital, a decent hospital, but the wait time was usually about 8 hours. And that was just to get into the back and to begin seeing somebody. And then it might be like another 4 to 5 hours after that. And then often you were just dismissed without any significant help. So that's been my recent experience with emergency room visits. And they were nightmarish and extraordinarily expensive. If you have insurance with a high deductible or you don't have insurance, it's just it's prohibitive almost. So anyways, when I got there, I got dropped off, and as soon as I walked in, I was the only person. And it's a very nice hospital. It's the Royal Phnom Penh Hospital, but they immediately just began working on me. The people at the front asked a couple questions. I was immediately taken into the back. I would say within 10 minutes, I saw a doctor. They began taking blood. They eventually did a chest x-ray. They did a COVID test and a handful of other things just to kind of rule out stuff. I would say within an hour, I knew that it was dengue fever. And so it was explained to me about the danger is if the platelets start dropping, and right then my platelets were okay. The other markers that the endocrinologist had noted were also kind of back in a normal range, my white blood cell count and the cortisol. So I was given an option if I wanted to stay in the hospital, but because everything was kind of still back, was still in an okay range, it didn't seem like I needed any immediate treatment, and I had to come back the next day for blood tests, that I just decided to go home. So, but I think I was at the hospital, I think I was in the emergency room, I want to say like an hour and a half. 2 hours at the most, but probably like an hour and a half. And because I have catastrophic insurance, so it's not going to cover that. But or I could probably put it toward the deductible, but the deductible is pretty high. So, anyways, I think it was about $750, which is not $30 or $50. So, I mean, it's a little bit of a punch, but compared to the United States and going to an emergency room and the experience, though, just the horror of the experience and what I got out of this and what I needed to do in a follow-up treatment and how kind everybody was. Everybody was incredibly kind, incredibly competent in terms of just making sure that I understood what the issues were, what I needed to be careful of, what I needed to do. And I think it was a bargain compared to the United States. And very clean facility, very nice facility, very professional. So I was 100% happy with that. Now, they wanted me to come back the next day, which is today, for more blood work, so I did do that. my white blood cell count has dropped. So it's kind of a lower, but the platelets were still within the range. So they want me to come back in 3 days now for a follow-up, but also to just keep an eye on things to make sure things don't get worse. In the meantime, what I would say is just in terms of symptoms, I know people have had like way worse symptoms than I'm having, but it's not pleasant. It's just kind of like, I just ache everywhere. Like all my joints ache. I don't have a lot of energy. My appetite's not great. Last night I didn't have a fever when I had like a little, compared, I guess, my temperature runs like a little on the low side. So I guess I was running like a tiny, tiny fever, but at some point it must have spiked when I was sleeping, because when I woke up, I was drenched. So I'm guessing it like spiked, and then the Tylenol that I took before I went to bed kicked in, and I conquered the fever. But I was just like, I was drenched. So yeah, I went back, and again, getting the blood drawn, that whole process, showing up. So that was an outpatient procedure. I was out of there within a half an hour, having had the blood drawn, gotten the results, and spoke with a doctor. Amazing, like stunning. And the longest part of it, and maybe the biggest pain in the ass, is actually getting there and back, because I don't live super close. And taking a tuk-tuk, I could take a car, but my problem with taking a car there is that it would probably take twice as long, because cars don't have the ability to, weave in and out. So to get there as fast as I can and to get back as fast as I can, I take a tuk-tuk. But unfortunately, you're just like breathing in all the crap from the other exhaust and everything. So it's a little, when you're not feeling great and you're feeling like a tad bit nauseous to begin with, it's not the best. But that's the longest part of it, and that's probably the worst part of it. Once I get there, it's just smooth. It's just, and today it was pretty packed, I would say. There were lots of people in the outpatient area, and they still just got me in and got me out of there. So, and today's, the blood work and the consultation with the doctor today was, I think, like $75. The only thing I'll pat myself on the back for is that I went hard at karaoke with dengue fever. So it was a long night of a lot of singing and not a little bit of drinking, but yeah, I was kind of, nothing was going to hold me back. Dengue fever, nothing. So, all right, yeah, there's a video that I want to release that is about kind of what I think is the worst mistake that I've made so far in terms of planning to retire. And my advice to you, if you're even beginning to think about it, or it's 10 years down the road, but I'm not sure when I'm going to make the video. I feel, I think I have to wait a few days till I start feeling a little better. I wanted to make this one right now, but I feel like total crap. So this is, I'm going to wait a few days, get better, make another video. And thanks for subscribing, and please like the video, and if you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. Okay, thanks.